And welcome back into another edition of Key Time Sports. It's Key Time coming back to talk about the Boston Celtics, New York Knicks, and the Minnesota Timberwolves and Golden State Warriors game fours from last night. Now, first off, the Boston Celtics, we pretty much we know what their game plan is. It's live by the three, die by the three. And last night, Jason Tatum, he had 42 points. Al Horford had 5. Drew Holiday had 4. Derek Wright had 23. Jaylen Brown had 20. Bench production, Luke Cornett, 0 points. Kristaps Porzingis, 7 points. Peyton Pritchard, 12 points. For the New York Knicks, last night, starters, Mikal Bridges, 23 points. OG Anunoby, 20 points. Karl Anthony Towns, 23 points. Jalen Brunson, 39 points. Josh Hart, 6 points. Bench production, Precious Achiuwa, 0 points. Mitchell Robinson, 4 points. Cameron Payne, 0 points. Miles McBride, 6 points. Now, one thing I can say is before I get into the New York Knicks, I want to get to the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics. Now, Jason Tatum, he went out, and most people are saying that it's an Achilles injury. From my sources this morning, I heard that it could possibly be an Achilles injury, and he could be out for specific a significant amount of time, excuse me. So, yeah, Jason Tatum, it's not looking great for him right now. Prayers up to Jason Tatum. As far as the Boston Celtics, your season is on the brink. You are down 3-1, and you need you need to win 3 straight games to win the series, but you but not just to win the series. For starters, you need 2 games just to make the series, to force the series to a game 7. Now, do I think that the New York Knicks are going to eliminate the Boston Celtics on their home floor? I don't think that that's going to happen. But if you are the New York Knicks, if you do not close the series out in either game 5 or 6, then you're giving the Celtics a chance with an undermanned squad without Jason Tatum to win the series. So the New York Knicks, you have a chance to close the door on the Boston Celtics for their season. So go on ahead and do that. Now, what I'm going to do is get to the statistics from last night's game and then tell you how I feel about the New York Knicks and as far as them being able to go toe to toe with the Pacers for the potential of the Eastern Conference Finals playoff matchup. So last night, statistics mainly went in New York's favor, especially after Jason Tatum went out with an injury. So New York Knicks shot 54% from the floor, 3-point percentage 12 of 34, 35%. Free throws 75% for the Knicks, 73% for the Boston Celtics. Total rebounds plus 12 for the New York Knicks, 43 to 31. Offensive rebounds plus 6 for the New York Knicks, 13 to 7. Defensive rebounds plus 6 for the New York Knicks, plus 6 for the New York Knicks, 30 to 24. Assists plus 10 for the New York Knicks, 25 to 15. Blocks even at 2. Total turnovers even at 12. Points off of turnovers, 19 for the Celtics, 18 for the New York Knicks. Points in the paint. This is where the New York Knicks won this game last night. They packed it into the paint last night because the New York Knicks had double the amount of points that the Boston Celtics had. 64-32. That is double what the Celtics had. So the Celtics, one thing I can say about them is that coming into the season, we expected the Celtics to be in the thick of things. Obviously, we did not expect for them to be down and be in a situation where they're down 3-1 and have to win 3 games to go to the next round. But they are in that predicament. And do I see the Celtics even making it competitive in game 5? Outside of Jaylen Brown, see, this is where Jaylen Brown, he's got to step up. And with Jaylen Brown, I'm very confident that he can come out, that he can go out and have the kind of game that he needs. And when I say the kind of game that he needs, I'm talking about at least 35, 10, and 12. That's the kind of game that Jaylen Brown needs in game 5 if the Celtics want to push this series back to New York for a game 6. So that's all I have for the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. Largest lead for both teams, Celtics was 14. The Knicks were 12. Game 5 is tomorrow night. Let's see if the Celtics can keep their season alive and win game 5, or will the Knicks go to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time since 2000? So, the next game I am going to cover is the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they did what they had to do last night. They had the momentum of this series, and now they have taken complete control and have a commanding 3-1 lead in this series. Julius Randle, 31 points. Jaden McDaniels, 10 points. Rudy Gobert, 8 points. Mike Conley, 11 points. Anthony Edwards, 30 points. Bench production, Nas Reed, 5 points. Dante DiVincenzo, 9 points. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, 13 points. Minnesota Timberwolves, like I've been saying, the Timberwolves have a 3-man bench rotation, but they can easily throw 5 guys out there. I mean, some games you don't know on the bench of the Timberwolves, you don't know who is going to have a breakout game when it comes to them coming off the bench. Dante DiVincenzo, back in round 1, he had a game against the Lakers where he had 15 points. And then you have Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who has had 20, 22, and now a 13-point game in this playoffs. And also Nas Reed, he has had games where he scored in double figures a lot. He really has. And also the Minnesota Timberwolves, they are on their way to the Western Conference Finals, because for the Golden State Warriors, I'm going to read y'all the statistics. Draymond Green, 14 points. Trace Jackson Davis, 5 points. Jimmy Butler, 14 points. Buddy Hield, 13 points. Brandon Podsiskimi, 11 points. Bench production, Jonathan Kuminga, 23 points. Kevon Looney, 8 points. Braxton Key, 0 points. Kevin Knox, 2 points. Guy Santos, 7 points. Quentin Post, 5 points. Gary Payton II, 3 points. Moses Moody, 3 points. Pat Spencer, 2 points. Steph Curry, left hamstring, did not play. And everybody is penciling him back for a game 6. But is there even a chance that this series goes back to Oakland for a game 6? Because the Minnesota Timberwolves, they are coming to win this series in game 5, and I think that they are going to win this series in game 5. Now, one thing I can say is playoff Jimmy was a no-show last night. And like Draymond Green said earlier on in the regular season, He said that the Golden State Warriors have a championship caliber team. We are going to see if they can get out of this hole. Now, if I'm the Golden State Warriors, your only job, you only have a 1 game season. That's all. 1 game, game 5, the Golden State Warriors should just be focused on game 5. Don't Let's not even talk about winning the series yet. You can start talking about winning the series when you get to game 7. But now, focus on game 5 if I'm the Warriors. Now, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, the cake is right there for them to go to the Western Conference Finals. And Minnesota, when they win this series, they'll be facing the winner of the OKC Denver Nuggets series. Now, the better story. Now, the story that it seems like that is going to play out is Minnesota versus OKC. But the better story is Minnesota versus Denver, because last year in the playoffs, Minnesota and Denver, it was a knockdown, drag out, grinded out series of a fight, and the series went to the limit. Minnesota ended up winning in 7 games on the Denver Nuggets home floor. And this year, if it does turn out to be Minnesota and Denver in the Western Conference Finals, it would be Minnesota having that 7th game on their home floor. So the Timberwolves would have home court advantage. That's if the Denver Nuggets win over the OKC Thunder, which I see that series going to the limit of 7 games. Now, the final 2 games I'm going to cover is the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Indiana Pacers, and the aforementioned Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, one thing about the Pacers is they have a high volatile efficiency on offense. They can get hot at any moment, and also Tyrese Halliburton in this series he has averaged 18.6 points per game. So I'm thinking that the Pacers are coming to win it tonight. I believe so. The Pacers are coming to win this thing tonight. So the Cavaliers, who knows if Donovan Mitchell will be playing. I hear that he is questionable for tonight's game with a lower leg contusion. That is what I'm hearing. But I've seen players with leg injuries, with leg soreness, still come out and play. So hopefully Donovan Mitchell can play. But if there's one thing that I can say, the Cavaliers, this is like I've been saying throughout the entirety of this season. They've been a regular season team, and it's been like that for the last 3 years. Regular season they can win 50, excuse me, 50, 55 games, and then when they get to the playoffs, they get knocked out of either the first or the second round. Now, in this series, when the Pacers won game 1, I said, okay, it's a fill out game. So game 1, I don't take too much away from game 1. Game 2, Pacers, they won game 2. Then I had said, okay, I'm like, the Cavaliers, they have to win 4 of the next 5 remaining games in this series. Now, since they're down 3-1, they only have to win game 5, and then they can start thinking about game 6. If they win game 6, then they can start thinking about game 7 and potentially winning the series. But do I see that happening? No, I don't. Now, I said the Cavaliers would win in 6, but now I have to refute that statement because the Cavaliers' interior defense has been god awful in this series. It has. And Not to mention the last game, they get blown out by 40 at halftime. So I knew that game four, it was over for the Cavaliers. And then for Donovan Mitchell not to play, well, to get injured before halftime and not play the second half, Cavaliers are between a rock and a hard place and they don't know whether to sink or swim. So, Pacers, I can see now what I'm going to say is that we had the Eastern Conference Finals matchup already penciled in. The Celtics and the Cavaliers. I know I did. And one other thing, I can admit when I was wrong. Rarely am I wrong twice in the same week. Just rarely. That's what I'm going to say. But having New York and Indiana in the Eastern Conference Finals this matchup is taking me back to Reggie Miller, James Starks, and Spike Lee. That's what the potential Eastern Conference Finals matchup between the Pacers and the Knicks have me thinking about. That's what it is. So that's all I have for the Pacers and the Cavaliers. Now the last game I'm going to talk about for the day and as far as the series. So now, first off, before I get into the Knicks and the Nuggets and Thunder, the Cavaliers are a 7.5 point favorite according to ESPN Sports Bet. Now, will they win tonight? It remains to be seen. The next game, the Nuggets versus Thunder. The series is tied at 2 games apiece. Game 5 is tonight. And the winner of Game 5 goes on to win the series 82% of the time. Now, as far as the Nuggets, one thing I can say is what is their bench going to do? Because I know what Nikola Jokic is going to do. I know what Jamal Murray is going to do. I know what Aaron Gordon, as of late, is going to do. But what are the bench players and the key contributors all coming off the bench going to do tonight? Because Game 5 is always a turning point in a 7-game series. That's why I say whoever wins Game 5 wins the series. So for the Thunder, we know that the Thunder, they have a balanced starting lineup. They have Chet Holmgren, Luguentz Dort, Isaiah Hartenstein. They have some valuable pieces in the starting lineup. But now, since the Thunder are at home, I'm going with the Thunder tonight, and I said before the series started that I have the Thunder winning in 6 games. But if it do go to a 7th game, I got the Thunder. I'm rolling with the Thunder either way, in 6 or in 7. So with that, those are my reactions to last night's game 4s between the New York Knicks and the Minnesota Timberwolves, and also the Minnesota Timberwolves, New York Knicks, Boston Celtics, excuse me, and the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Golden State Warriors, and plus the 2 games tonight between the Pacers, Cavaliers, and the Denver Nuggets and OKC Thunder. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. We are also doing an expansion right here on YouTube. Key Time Sports. Please like, follow, share, subscribe. And we are also doing an expansion on my other show, Key City Sports on Instagram. So now we have what we are doing right now is playoff coverage. Later on this month, conference final round between the East and the West, and then next month we have we have NBA finals coverage, Then after that, we have OTAs and mini camp coverage of the NFL. So you do not want to miss any of the content that I have in store. And one last thing I want to say to everybody, remember, the key is on time.